Greetings, I'm Lies.
And I am Scandal.
And let's deal with dragons together. Yes. All right. So we've agreed. I agree with your mother, son. Come on. You can do better. There are dragon princesses that are actually dragons that are way more schooled than her. You know what? A lot of our commoners know more than she does. And honestly, again, dangerous. Let's do this. Rye and I are speechless as we stare at them. A moment later, I see his hands shake in fury.
Again, though, there's what we were talking about at the very end.
So, if you haven't seen the last episode,
I recommend you do so.
Big thing in this one case that it's a really good idea.
Again, one of those things of going like, it's like somebody who's coming into a position, why I get angry so much at like people performing nepotism basically in the workplace. If you don't know what nepotism is basically where, say, you have someone who's in a high-ranking position in a job that you're in, and their child comes in and is basically without an interview, or basically they get special accommodations or whatever, basically.
The child just says, I would like that job. And they say, cool, you got one.
And their parent goes, cool,
like,
they just gotta give you the job.
The real simple basics of nepotism is go, I have a job resource and I will just give it to you because you're my kid.
Which is a thing that we've talked about in reference to Small's grandpa actually owning the cafe shop.
The little coffee cafe shop and giving her a job there. That, because she's also the owner's child.
And she also seems to get a ton of special, basically, dispensation about. She gets to go home all the time. She apparently has all
doesn't show up all the time.
She doesn't show up all the time, and she never gets in trouble for it, kind of thing. And again, I'm not saying, like, that sort of thing needs to happen, but I'm also going, you said you would make an agreement, then just change the agreement or stop working at that job.
Right?
Like,
it's fine.
It just feels disrespectful to me. But in this case, I'm just like, what bugs me is them trying to present this, going, oh no, the parents are demanding something unreasonable. It's like, let's look at it like they were trying to potentially run a business where they're trying
hiring a wife for you.
And
she's not qualified for the position.
At all. She has no experience. She has no interest, it seems, at all in even learning about that crap.
Yeah, she's really like, you guys need to learn about my culture. And then she hasn't even considered, if she believes absolutely that she's moving over there, she again hasn't prepared herself at all, which falls into that ableistic idea of if she's always been very privileged in a lot of things when she wants to go do them, and also extremely free because of no parenting direction, even from her grandfather, who's been her absentee father figure and mother figure together, that she was have this experience of being this incredibly free but also neglected only child who's very physically privileged and just is very disconnected from her reality, from the reality of other people around her.
And we know she has parents. Do you know that her parents have been talked about once, and then they've never really been discussed ever again?
I mean, they were mentioned.
But like her directly mentioning I should talk to them.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
she's never thought about mentioning them ever
and
again.
It's been.
She mentioned it one time, going, they haven't called back yet.
Yes.
Yep, but it's very.
Because she's gone, I should call my parents, and then she says they haven't called back yet, and then I think that was twice. How dare you? You can't speak that way to Small. Why not? She's just a human.
But I'm not. I'm a dragon slayer, except we're the same species.
Oh, let me show you just what I feel for this human.
And now we have to get kissed by him.
We're gonna get aggressively kissed.
We're gonna get kissed by him. Rye yanks my body to his with a look of determination on his face. Your parents aren't talking about... I slam against his chest and look up at him. Your parents aren't talking about feelings. They're talking about law and experience and skills. I accept Rye's kiss. Push Rye away.
Yeah, okay,
I kind of want to let him act out against his parents, even though that's not the point, but also going, when she shoves him away, we know based on what the writers have told us that we're going to be an asshole to him. We're not just going to be like, stop, this isn't the way.
Right.
Which bothers me, because if she really was going to be like, push him away and talk reasonably, push him away and go, this isn't what this is about. They aren't talking about your feelings for me. They're literally talking about what my life has been and who I am.
And the safety and the continuation of, granted, a monarchy.
And again,
they're invested in their own interest.
Dylan gets to kiss us. Like, was that part of the premium scene, him kissing us, or not? I don't know. I imagine it was. I would say, and then going, I accept his kiss or push him away. And going... Accept
sounds very sort of like, just let it happen.
It sounds that very disassociated thing of going, I'm just going to let him do what he's doing in this conversation that I'm barely involved in. That is happening around me rather than at me.
I'm really bothered. Again, I'm like, I don't know what Small would do.
I appreciate that in this case this is all pink and sparkly and sexy cute times. It's accept Rye's kiss, he wants to kiss you. But in this case, I really am going with that heavy, she's disconnected. She's in a fishbowl, she's dissociating right now. She would just let him do it. She is not connected enough
Fair.
to this, and she's really not even able to bring up her own conversation in defense of herself in reference to the dragon parents showing up. She really is just, even walking into the house a second ago, was just going, well, I wonder who I will marry, that person out there who isn't
Who I
me.
will just sort of end up marrying.
Like, who it'll just, what situation I'll just end up in without my
She
control.
sounds really stressed out and really overwhelmed. Like,
And she's been explaining this whole time that she is really overwhelmed. We don't actually know Small outside of being super stressed out. We
shocking.
don't. And a lot of people are very different when they're not super stressed out. So in this case, while it is not romantic, I am going to accept his kiss because I think she's just overwhelmed and going to be passive.
Yep.
That is my understanding of this. My whole body seems to awaken, meaning I suddenly have sensory stimulus now that he's actually kissing me. I can interpret it that way.
I find
By his kiss. I feel like I couldn't pull away even if I wanted to.
Which also you could read that
I'm out
line.
here dissociating. I now have sensory input, but I just watch it happen. Still.
Again, I'm like, you could read this as incredibly creepy.
Yep. So I couldn't pull away even if I wanted. You know, Phoenix is looking more and more like a good choice, honestly. He's really direct.
Maybe we haven't run into the issue with Phoenix.
Yeah, well, we haven't done. I mean, the one premium scene we did with Phoenix, he was really playful and silly, and we were like, sure, we'll kiss him, and then no.
Yeah.
She didn't even want to. She was like, I hate it. I kissed right back, meeting his passion with my own.
I guess. That's enough, Rye. No, it's not enough. I want a future with Small.
Okay.
Not because of the pact.
Oh dear.
But because she makes me happy.
Do I?
I'm also like...
Stares at this whole thing happening around me.
So
I'm
this
so
is a
confused.
question, again, about going, okay, if your issue is really with, the system and what's going on and your monarchy and your requirements, your destiny, what you're supposed to do kind of thing, address the system. Stop putting it off on, I'm like...
Am I the Sultan or aren't I? I make the laws.
Right?
Going, can you address this system? And going, if this is an agreement with dragon slayers at large, is there a dragon slayer at large parliament you need to address?
Is there a council?
Do we have a dragon slayer council to mirror the dragon council?
Right? The elder dragon slayers, you know?
Yeah, which your grandpa should be on because he's old as ass.
Right?
He's going to make me melt if he keeps talking like that.
Except that, again, I don't find this to be romantic at all.
No, like I said, this
very
feels super
frustrating
weird.
of where parents are going and approaching you about political things, and they love doing this, like they did in fucking Princess Diaries.
This feels
right, where they were like, she was
super
like,
weird.
it's really important to learn and to educate yourself, to be a part of it, to recognize where you either are or are not in the system. And if you're going to be in the system, you can still critique the system, and also you can still change it. It's made up.
The system is made of everyone in it performing an action. If there's no one there performing any actions, the system does not exist.
Shockingly.
The system isn't a machine that you walk up to it and do an action to a physical thing.
God, it's not that.
The system is a shared belief system where ideology, where everyone in it enacts what they understand their piece of that ideology to be, and overall creates an experience of a system.
So it still reminds me really heavily. I don't know if anybody in the crowd has ever actually watched the original Star Trek series. The crowd, the business, the entourage. Hello, my friends, greetings. No, but so there's an episode of the original Star Trek series that I cannot remember the name of, but one thing that pissed me off the most about the entire thing was they were like, so these two planets, so the Star Trek Enterprise comes to these two planets, comes to one planet that's basically of the half of the two, where they've been engaged in this long distance, and I'm air quoting here, long distance war, where they haven't been using any weapons at all. What they've been using is basically been playing a video game against each other. And when they score the correct hit, the computer, a completely an objective system that they describe it as, will make a decision about how many people died from that impact. Then they turn around and they look at their people and they go, you are the ones that need to be sacrificed. You all go literally to death cubbies and get vaporized.
And the thing is
and they go, we do this to preserve our culture. And you're going, no, there is no culture if your people are dead. This stuff comes from people. Culture doesn't, because they were all like, no, then we don't have all this, reconstruction of our cities and all of our monuments and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you can rebuild monuments. You cannot bring back people who have died.
So in the sense of an archaeologist and someone who is studying historical anthropology as well, or somebody who's studying cultures, ancient cultures, we have to extrapolate all the time who they were and what it was like, because the buildings don't preserve
They don't.
the culture. And the thing is like there's this one that I love so much where they're in a hut, or not a hut, like an old house in Egypt, right?
Yes.
And they're looking at it, and in the floor of it, like it's the ruins of an old house, right?
Right.
And it's just they're looking at the foundation, and in the foundation there's this big circle, probably like 3 to 4 feet, like
Across.
in diameter, right? And it's about 6 inches deep, right? And they're like, we keep seeing these. We've seen these a couple of times and we do not know what they are. There's no drain, there's no pump. Is it for water? What is it for? We don't know.
Is it a fire pit? But there's
Is it a fire pit, but there's no fire, there's no remains? What is this? And so finally, after archaeologists looking at this for an amount of time, they get a local and they go, hey, do you know what this is? Like, we know it's super old. Do you have any idea what this is? And they said, oh yeah, I know exactly what that is. And they take them out of their dig and over to a neighborhood nearby and into a house that has one still, because it's still in use. And it's full of baby chickens and a couple of parent chickens. And the height of the wall is so that the baby chickens cannot get out until they're old enough to fend for themselves, and the parents can walk right out and get some peace of mind.
Yeah.
It's so people can keep track of their chickens. And so without that context, we are never going to have that piece of culture.
Right, which is the thing that
Your culture doesn't exist without your people. All right, here we go. He's going to make me melt if he keeps talking like that. I feel like this is what should be happening.
You two are just gonna have to accept that.
Except that, what if I don't pick you?
We don't have to accept anything. We're your parents, and we know best.
And besides,
Mother knows best.
Their age of majority might be 21, we assume, since that's the marriageable age, but yours is not. You haven't reached it yet. You're still a minor, and we have political control over you.
I mean, they might.
You don't know.
It's my life. I'll live it the way I choose.
So you say.
What about your duty? What about your duty? Your duty as parents to support me.
I've learned a lot about parenting from humans, and I have some ideas now. Otto and Freya fall silent, exchanging a confused glance.
I mean,
he has been exposed to the human world too much.
That's what I thought. Come on, Small.
I am very confused as he leads me somewhere else.
They're never going to change.
At my house, and he led me away from them. No, I was at my job, and he just led me off somewhere else.
But this is again where I'm like, at least for me, like, yes, I understand that thing of going like what you want. Let's say like it was your parents, or like in this case maybe like my parents, where sometimes we've gotten into big arguments going, we just want the best for you kind of thing. So I get that is what they're doing kind of thing, and also going, there are also other things to consider, and that feels like also a lack of education, basically, that you also gave your child. Of going, if you found these things important, why did you never talk about them?
Why did you never try and help me connect to them more, rather than just tell me I have to do stuff?
Right?
I have to be stuff,
have to
have stuff.
It feels like neglect. It's also more than just, you're here to support me, and also educate you, and also support me.
A trope that bothers me, where my friend has been telling tropes that bother them, is this idea of the deeply neglected royal child. The one that is rebelling against their up-there political parents that just never that just never connected them emotionally to who they actually are. And they're just like, I don't want to be the prince, the princess, the whatever, right? Because their parents have never been available to them and never connected them to what it is. You've never sat in on political meetings. You never sat in on, court jurisdictions. You've never been there for let's answer the people's questions day.
Your parents
You have no connection to what it means, or them talking about events in your country and hard decisions they've had to make. You're just this spoiled brat child that is ignored and given everything you want. And of course you don't fucking want to be a prince.
It's actually one of the reasons why I really like Uncle Iroh as a character. Because Uncle Iroh really actively tries, as gently as he can, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
Where he tries really hard, in my opinion, to actually help his nephew, who is Prince Zuko, and he really, over that series, it was probably one of the most touching he's a fantastic surrogate parent. Because Zuko's actual parents, one of them is missing and the other one is a complete asshole, which I appreciate. Sometimes your found or made family is going to be way more family-like than your actual family.
Anyway, so this sort of trope that he is right now, of these disconnected royal parents going, they don't have to be. There are plenty of kingdoms that have actually raised successful kids. And not that I'm advocating for kingdoms at all, or the structure of any kind of monarchy at all necessarily.
Extreme hierarchy,
hierarchy. But in this case, there are plenty of them, and the trope is way overused of basically my parents are neglectful and all just wrapped up in their political stuff, which is what you should theoretically be wrapped up in too.
Which is also, though, really interesting, because I feel like one of the reasons why, honestly, if I had to guess why monarchies, though, are also so popular in fiction, sort of just going off here for a second, is actually because that's the fastest way people go, well, see, this is where your parents basically have neglected. This is where you're taking all of the reader's issues of, my parents never understood me, my parents are always off over in the corner.
And I can make it really easy fit into a monarchy.
Yeah, right.
I can just paste
because
it in there really easy.
You have clearly then, this is the person who's clearly at the top, and this is the big bad that we get to fight. It's very easy to break into the system.
To structure it as one person or two people are the problem.
Yes, exactly.
I'm sorry, Rye.
No, I'm the one who should be apologizing. First for my parents harassing you and then putting you down like that. You didn't deserve that.
Rye balls his hand into a fist, punching a lamppost. Oh!
The thing bends.
It bends. Ha! Yes, there it is. A spark of electricity races up the pole, shorting out the light. I loved that sound effect. I do not know if that came through, but that was so crackly. That was amazing.
Good job.
Good job. Sound design, good choice of sound. That was fun.
Oops.
Really, I finally coming back to things a little bit as I've nearly been electrocuted by arcing flashes. It's no big deal.
Except for the fact that you literally just, according to the human realm, you've just committed vandalism.
Yes. You should...
that's a little illegal.
It's true. You should hear some of the things my customers say when I mess up their order. I'm used to abuse because a lot of service people are just used to abuse and think of it as par for the course. Honestly, we don't even know what good treatment's like. It's a lot like, how people treat each other in dating culture, heteronormative dating culture as well. Like,
honestly,
it's there.
That concept of the customer is always right has always bothered me. And I've actually done a lot more retail than my friend Liza over here has.
It's true.
She has definitely been, had not exposed to it as I have been.
No.
And I have found it sometimes to be infinitely frustrating to deal not only with the managerial services, but also dealing with customers.
And for me, from the other end...
Right,
go ahead.
Oh.
I was just going to say, from the customer side, it has been fascinating for me to watch my friends, my family, and strangers that I don't know not be their best selves. You can even tell sometimes, like from a perspective of being with someone, where they get frustrated trying to deal with customer service in the way they've been taught how to deal with it, where they're not taught to deal with a person, they're taught to deal with a system, and that they are in a desperate place, especially in reference to like financial needs of going, but I need you to return this item, do this discount, help me out in this way. And the person's going, I cannot do that for you. And so if it's retail, there's this solid experience of basically the customer's training of how to interact with their support being a problem. And I notice it even more having been in management, and I say like higher management and manufacturing, going, you have this problem where people do not know how to interact with the systems that are there to support them. Most people do not know how to use HR. Even a lot of the people in like supervisory positions don't know the full extent of what HR can be for, as far as just being employee support and employee resources. A lot of people have always demonized HR as all it is for pitching a fit or starting a lawsuit or for filing a claim against the company, when it's there for literally every question you have.
Also, at the same time, though, too, what I have been deeply frustrated by, while I appreciate my friend's fantastic want to be positive endorsing of HR, I've also deliberately run into HR who really will just be like, we are just here to defend the company from you.
And it depends on how your HR has been trained and structured, but once it gets down to it, they are there to protect the company over the employee because that's their job. Which
also, though, for me, I'm like, that's a conflict of interest.
It is a conflict of interest.
To me, like, then that is just like, that's what always bothered me, being like, you need to have then an outside, basically HR, that's just like, we're just here, this is what we do, we mediate. We are here for whomever comes to us. We are not here to defend your crappy practices. If they are actually crappy, we'll call you out on them because we know the law, we know how this works. You cannot abuse us, and neither can the employees. But we are here to also take care of them when they come to us going, where I had numerous encounters with HR because, well, my last job, I was incredibly suicidal past a point, and I could not connect to my HR going like, I cannot leave here. I am working obnoxious amount of hours, and the people that I'm working with are just driving me crazy.
And we are recommending that I get help and go see a therapist, and you've given me directions of how to do so, but I cannot do that outside of my shift.
Because I'm exhausted. I'm so emotionally drained and tired, and
it's not available.
And they just were like, oh, well, whatever.
At any rate, the customer service thing of going, a lot of people who perform customer service don't even know what it looks like to be treated well because they've been treated so poorly so often. I can take the abuse.
My parents, the elders, none of them see you for the person you are. But I do.
Do you?
Somehow, magically, not just,
through your writing that I've been reading for years, I know who you are. Ray takes my hand, and a tingle dances from his fingertips to mine. And I go, oh God, static shock, bing, ouch, 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 ouch. So all those things you said?
I meant every word.
I see.
Aha! Couldn't you tell from the way I kissed you?
I've really only been kissed by 2 people in my life, and one of them was now you, and the other one, was, it's fine. Was it just, both of them
You
happened
both are
in a deeply disassociated state. It's fine. I imagine the Phoenix scene in the forest was where we would have gotten to kiss him, and that's 3 in a row where you all get kissed on a premium scene. What do you bet?
That's actually kind of what I was thinking, but I'm almost vaguely curious to find out if there's another one.
If it's coming up
Also, we
instead.
might have just been heavily missing every single time, where they've would have the opportunity to just go, I will smooch you.
I want to smooch you. You would just have all of them kissing you.
Mwah, and then mwah.
And they'd be like, hi, Howard. Mwah. Whoa. Well, good morning to you, I guess.
Hi, Grandpa.
My face heats up at the memory of his lips on mine, and me sort of slumped in his arms, disconnected. Yeah.
Do you need a reminder?
No, I'm good. No, that's okay. I'm fine. It's okay.
I know you have a lot to think about right now, so let me compromise you just a little bit more by just, keep
Let me
putting this
try
pressure on you.
try and
I'm waiting.
Sway your hand.
I'm willing to wait.
And I will have to wait. And what I'm doing is
Just
actively waiting.
Now, come on. I better get you home.
Had you better. I thought I could get myself
All right. Well,
home.
thank you very much, guys,
Wow.
for joining us. Wow, this is a little awkward. We
It's
appreciate
fine.
you spending time with us and listening to us, because that is definitely what you're doing. And
it's awesome to have you here.
It really is. We love hearing your opinions, and we love also having conversations with people. The whole thing is we like using, again, material like this to talk about real-world issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we understand completely that this is fantasy, and someone can totally find this to be romantic and adorable and cute
And fun, and
whatever.
interpret it totally different. In fact, one of the things that we've had some fun with is that idea of just twisting tropes a little bit on their head and going, there's a different way you can interpret this, and it still works with their writing.
Right.
And it just prompts more thinking, more exploration,
Right.
more awareness of how you can engage with your media.
Right, absolutely. And if you want to support us, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you think what we do actually maybe adds to that or performs some of that. That can be really cool, and also will help us get seen, because
Right.
the algorithm is a monster and we're kind of being eaten, but it's totally okay. Eventually, one day, we will succeed somehow.
One day!
Yay! And if you want to actually support us more directly, please feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi and our Patreon. We've got some links down below in the description. And I have been Scandal.
And take care of yourself during these corona times, and please be safe and all that as much as you are able. And if there is, I don't know, there's not really much we can do. There are a lot of things that we have felt sort of helpless about during this time because we don't know what to contribute or where to start. Neither of us are really essayists that are putting all these really profound, powerful videos out there that a lot of people we've been watching and listening to do. But in the meantime, try and edify yourself, support yourself. If you're feeling lost, go look for more information, and do take breaks from media, as it does have that wrapped within it. Here's your real, essentially real world news, and here's also, your downtime, and they're not separate anymore. Memes are right next to political announcements, and it can be very challenging to have that emotional downtime that we need.
And if you actually want to know something really cool, really quick, if you ever have somebody who goes, oh God, kids these days on their damn phones and on their devices and plugged in all the time, do you know what happened when they introduced the subway systems and the trains and the trolleys just in the US?
Newspaper readership went up like crazy because people didn't want to interact with each other because they had to be together in a social space. And so they all hid behind a newspaper the way we
they didn't have to
interact.
talk. Yeah.
So we're all using our phones. We're not really all using them just to not interact, but it is also a way to show that I'm not available for social interaction right now. You don't have access to me.
Right.
And it's okay to do that. It is also okay to want to be involved in your own private world. Now, you don't have to worry about public transit so much while we're in quarantine, but it is something to be aware of as well, that a lot of the judgment doesn't come from a place of sincerity. It comes from more of a place of unfamiliarity.
Yes.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great playing with you. Bye!